Everybody knows Minecraft, a sandbox/survival game that has captured the hearts of many in its almost 16-year run. And ever since its release in 2010, the game has received a plethora of updates, adding things like new structures, mobs, and enchantments. Enchanting specifically is an incredibly important feature in gameplay. These things can massively improve base gear in lots of ways, so most players ought to use them. However, with so many enchantments to choose from, 43 to be exact, some are bound to be better than others. So, in this video, I'll be ranking every single enchantment that Minecraft has to offer. I'll be ranking each one from worst to best, but I'll also be putting them in tiers of usefulness as we go on. Before we begin, I feel that it's important to mention that this video is my opinion. So if you disagree with something I say, that is totally fine. You are entitled to your own opinion just as much as I am entitled to mine. Another thing to mention is that I mainly play single player Minecraft in Bedrock Edition, but I will try to consider enchantments that might be more viable in multiplayer when it comes to making this list. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Curse of Binding is exactly what it sounds like, a curse. Any piece of armor that has it is unable to be removed assuming that you put it on. The only way to take it off is to either die or whittle the armor's durability down until it breaks. This is easily the worst enchantment in the game, and it's not even close. There's absolutely nothing beneficial to having this. This is even worse in hardcore because you are forced to whittle it down, which can risk your entire world if you're not careful. Bane of Arthropods does extra damage to 5 different mobs, those being the spider, cave spider, silverfish, endermite, and bees. That's literally it. Oh, and all of those mobs die in 1 to 2 hits with sharpness 5 anyways, so this enchantment is completely outclassed. Easily bad tier. Frostwalker is a boot enchantment that creates ice below your feet when you try to step over water. This enchantment might sound great on paper, but in practice it inconveniences you more than it helps. Getting underwater is annoying since you have to take the boots off or break the ice, and worst of all, a boat is just better. You can move the same speed if not faster with one, and it's way easier to get, only costing 5 planks of any type. The only scenario where Frostwalker could be useful is for farming ice, but you're better off just farming it yourself with a Silk Touch pickaxe. Curse of Vanishing is also exactly what it sounds like, a curse. However, it actually does have a niche but solid use. Curse of Vanishing causes whatever tool or item that has it to completely disappear upon death. Now, you might be thinking, how could that be useful? Multiplayer is how. If you are playing on a server with lots of fights or wars, not allowing your enemy to take your gear if they kill you is pretty useful. Overall though, this enchantment doesn't really harm you if you die very rarely, and on hardcore it's not really an issue considering that if you die anyways, the world's over. Plus, Curse of Vanishing isn't even incompatible with any other enchantment in the game, unlike Bane of Arthropods or Frostwalker, so you could just ignore it. Multi-shot causes 2 extra arrows to come out of your crossbow when you fire. This enchantment is truly meh. The arrows come out at a pretty awkward angle, so it's hard to actually hit multiple things at once, and it takes more durability on the crossbow. Overall, it's just not that good. Plus, another enchantment outclasses it easily. Flame is a bow enchantment that ignites each arrow you shoot, causing damage over time. It's an enchantment I could either have or not, and I would be fine regardless. It's not detrimental, but it also barely makes a difference since a maxed out bow would probably one-shot most things anyways. Blast Protection is an armor enchantment that helps protect you against explosions from things like ghasts or creepers. It's only this low because it is incompatible with other protection enchantments that I would rather have. It's really only good for PvP since it could help against end crystals, but I don't think that makes it good enough to put it over anything else. Channeling is a trident enchantment that summons lightning on a mob that you throw it at, but only when thunderstorming. Only working during thunderstorms makes this enchantment pretty meh. The only thing it's really good for is getting mob heads and brown mushrooms, which you could just use copper lightning rods for. Regardless, it is still pretty cool seeing mobs get struck by lightning, so it places at 36. Lunge is the one and only spear enchantment. It allows you to launch yourself forward when you do a jab attack. The strength of the launch depends on the level of enchant, and it takes some hunger points when used. Lunge is pretty fun, but the hunger drawback nerfs it hard. It honestly makes the spear worse for combat, but it is not the worst thing ever. Breach is a mace enchantment that reduces armor effectiveness, about 60% max, making mobs and players easier to kill. This is really only good in multiplayer and trial chambers, since those are the places you'll find armored enemies. However, the reason this is meh is because it is mutually exclusive with another enchantment that I would say is far better for the mace. Fire Protection is an armor enchantment that protects the player from fire by reducing its damage and duration. It also allows you to survive longer in lava too. It's not bad per se, but it's really only useful in the nether, and in there I would rather have a fire resistance potion for full immunity. Regardless, it's good early game, but not much else.
I mean, it's alright.
Projectile Protection is an enchantment that reduces damage from things like arrows. It's yet another protection enchantment that's a fine early game option, but pointless long term. Though I do find it better than the previous two since mobs with range attacks are pretty common.
I mean, it's alright.
Soul Speed makes the player faster when walking on soul sand and soul soil. It makes traveling in the nether a little bit easier, and you could even set up soul sand highways for max efficiency. However, it's really just okay, and not much else. It doesn't hurt to have though.
I mean, it's alright.
Loyalty is a trident enchantment that returns the trident to the player after it has been thrown. It's a fine enchantment, but bows are way better for ranged combat, plus it's mutually exclusive with another enchantment later on this list which I believe is way better and way more fun.
I mean, it's alright.
Piercing is a crossbow enchantment that allows an arrow shot out of it to pierce through multiple enemies, up to a max of 5. I would consider this to be the better alternative to multi-shot, since mobs just tend to group together rather than stand at a distance. However, it still is a crossbow enchantment, so it remains pretty low.
I mean, it's alright.
Lure is a fishing rod enchantment that increases the rate you catch items while fishing. Fishing is something I would consider underrated. It's a good early game food source, and lure makes it even better, whereas the enchantment fails though of long-term usefulness. Outside of early game, fishing just isn't necessary, so it has limited use overall along with the other fishing specific enchantment you'll see later.
I mean, it's alright.
Thorns gives you a chance to reflect a small amount of damage back to a mob that damages you, with the cost of some durability. This is a controversial enchantment. On one hand, it can be nice when you're being bombarded with arrows, but it can also shred your armor unless you have mending, so I could take it or leave it. I usually prefer to have it just because, but I won't lose sleep if I don't.
I mean, it's alright.
Density is a mace enchantment that allows you to do more damage for less falling. It takes the mace's main ability and improves upon it a lot. I do find this enchantment better for PvP scenarios considering that the mace is pretty niche in survival Minecraft. It's still a better option than Breach though.
I mean, it's alright.
The last mace enchantment on this list, Windburst, is an enchantment that creates a burst of air when using the mace's smash attack. The power of the blast depends on the level of the enchantment, and it sends you straight up into the air, allowing you another chance to strike. I find this enchantment slightly better than Density, but since you can have them both on a mace, they're pretty interchangeable on this list, but they won't go any higher than 25.
I mean, it's alright.
Knockback is an enchantment that increases the distance enemies are knocked back when struck. Before Mats of Mayhem came out, Knockback would have straight up been in bad tier. However, it does pair very well with the spear. Knocking enemies back further allows you to maximize damage with the spear, making this enchantment much better than it used to be. It's still just okay though.
I mean, it's alright.
Punch is pretty much the bow equivalent of knockback, except it's better because with the bow, you want the target to be at a safe distance. Plus, if you're in a pinch, punch can be used in combination with an elytra to propel yourself if rockets aren't available. I could also see this being used in something like Bed Wars to hit enemies off the map and kill them entirely. The last crossbow enchantment on this list, Quick Charge, makes your crossbow charge a shot much faster, increasing overall fire rate. Although crossbows aren't the best ranged weapon, Quick Charge does make them significantly better, and combined with piercing, crossbows become a pretty decent weapon overall. However, it's still held back by the fact that it's exclusive to crossbows, and by the fact that bows are just way better in pretty much every aspect. Aqua Affinity is a helmet enchantment that increases the player's underwater mining speed. If you want to build or collect resources underwater, then Aqua Affinity is a good enchantment to have. Overall, it serves its niche pretty well, so it places at 21.
The last fishing enchantment on this list, Luck of the Sea, increases the odds of getting treasure items from fishing. Luck of the Sea is only really useful in early to mid game, but it helps a lot. Those enchanted books, bows, and additional fishing rods all have high level enchants, creating another option for getting great gear. They all have high level enchants, creating another option for getting great gear, or possibly the cheapest cost.
Sweeping Edge is a sword enchantment that is exclusive to Java Edition. This enchantment makes the damage done by the sweeping attack equally spread to everything it hits. If you were to make a mob farm and they are all bunched up into a 1x1 hole, Sweeping Edge would allow you to kill each one of those mobs in the same amount of hits. if that makes sense. With that being said, it's a solid upgrade to your sword, and it doesn't collide with anything else, so there's no reason not to get it. Fire Aspect causes the weapon it's on to spread fire to a mob it hits. It's a better alternative to flame, mainly because in combination with looting, you can get a lot of cooked meat pretty quickly. A sword or spear is also less likely to one-shot a mob compared to a bow, allowing Fire Aspect to occasionally finish them off. It does have some drawbacks though. Endermen are pretty annoying to fight when they teleport constantly, which they will do if lit on fire, and a lot of nether mobs are just straight up immune to it, so this won't help defeat them. Even then, the good still outweighs the bad, so I'll never pass it up. Infinity is a bow enchantment that allows you to have infinite arrows so long as you have at least one in your inventory. Honestly, it's a top tier enchantment, but it has one massive drawback. Infinity is incompatible with mending. This makes the enchantment much worse because any bow with it will have a limited lifespan no matter what you do, whereas a mending bow can last forever. Also, arrows aren't even that hard to get, so you could just ignore this enchantment. Still, Infinity is good enough to place relatively high, even with that drawback. Smite is an enchantment that deals extra damage to undead mobs. The list of undead mobs is pretty long, so here's the important ones it affects. Zombies, skeletons, wither skeletons, zombie piglins, phantoms, strays, husks, bogged, parched, the wither, and many more. Another sword with Smite 5 can one-shot most of the mobs I just listed. Its main drawback is that it's incompatible with sharpness, but honestly, it's so close to competing with it that it still places pretty high. Feather Falling is a boot enchantment that reduces damage taken from falling. It's widely considered one of the best enchantments in the game, so why would I put it so low, all things considered? For a while, Feather Falling is great at helping you get down from tall buildings or terrain, but once you get an elytra, it kinda falls off a little bit. You can just glide down from those tall places and be fine. On top of that, a water bucket could also be used to prevent fall damage entirely, though it does require some slightly difficult timing. Still though, there will be times where you don't have a water bucket or you forget to put your elytra on, which is where Feather Falling shines, and it's the reason why it's still up this high on the list. Riptide is a trident enchantment that launches you with the trident when you throw it. It only works in the water and rain, and it's incompatible with channeling and loyalty. This is an incredibly fun enchantment. The launch you get is actually really powerful, so you can easily scale heights, get around faster, and even fly if it's raining. It doesn't prevent fall damage though, so use with caution. Overall, it's an enchantment that makes the trident feel special, while being pretty good in the process. The last trident enchantment on this list, Impaling increases damage to mobs that are in water or rain, at least on Bedrock. On Java, it only affects aquatic mobs like turtles, dolphins, and most importantly, guardians, so the Bedrock counterpart is significantly better and is a version of Impaling I am ranking for this list. With that out of the way, Impaling is a great enchantment. It does enough damage to one-shot most common mobs if they are in water, which makes trident killers even better since the mobs die much faster. Impaling is overall pretty great, but being restricted to water or rain is what keeps it from the top tier. Respiration is a helmet enchantment that allows you to last underwater longer, up to a whole minute. This is pretty useful for raiding ocean monuments, getting tridents, water cave mining, and much more. Just a really good quality of life enchantment overall. Depth Strider is a boot enchantment that increases your movement speed in water. Again, a very good quality of life enchantment, great for all water activities. I only put it slightly higher than Respiration because I think moving faster is a little bit better than lasting longer underwater, though they are pretty interchangeable. Cracking the top 10 is the only legging-specific enchantment in Minecraft. Swift Sneak increases the crouching movement speed. On the surface, this seems like it would only be useful in ancient cities, but trust me, there's a reason it's in the top 10. Building anything becomes 10 times smoother with Swift Sneak. Of course, I know a lot of Minecraft players don't usually build too much, so I could totally understand why you think this enchantment should be lower, but might I remind you that this is my list, so if you disagree, that is totally fine.
Fortune is an enchantment that gives you a chance for extra resources from ores and crops and a few other small things. This enchantment is huge early mid-game, and though it falls off a little late game, it's still really helpful. No one is going to complain about extra diamonds. Easily top tier, come on now.
Silk Touch is an enchantment that allows you to collect fragile blocks such as glass. This also includes stone, which is a pretty versatile building material. Ender chests are also a pretty big factor too, as without Silk Touch, they would break into 8 pieces of obsidian. Silk Touch is useful at every stage of gameplay unlike Fortune, which gets slightly worse late game. With all this in mind, Silk Touch is absolutely essential. Looting is an enchantment that increases the amount of drops from mobs and improves odds of getting rare items from them. Looting is absolutely essential to increase yield for pretty much any mob farm that exists, particularly golden witch farms. Wither skulls are also quite important too for making beacons, and looting makes them a lot easier to get. Sharpness is an enchantment that increases damage to everything. It can be put on swords, axes, and spears. More damage to everything is pretty overpowered, especially in Bedrock where it can one-shot most common mobs with a critical hit. It's simply the best damage enhancer for any melee weapon in the game. Power is a bow enchantment that increases damage to everything. At max level, it can one-shot most common mobs and then some. And with how fast a bow can fire, you can pick mobs off really quickly. Fishing rods also tend to fish up bows that have this enchantment too, with usually at least power 3 or 4, so this enchantment is very accessible. Protection is an armor enchantment that increases protection against everything. The amount of protection is more than enough to deal with all types of damage from projectiles, blasts, and fire. I mean, the gap between this and the last protection variant is evidence enough that this is clearly the best one. You would have to go out of your way to even get close to dying with full protection 4. Easily top tier. Efficiency increases the mining speed of various tools, such as the pickaxe or shovel. So much so, that shovels with at least efficiency 4 is enough to instantly mine dirt, sand, and gravel. Furthermore, with the assistance of a beacon, you can instantly mine stone and logs. Efficiency makes gathering raw materials and building blocks so much easier, along with terraforming as well. It is absolutely essential if you're even remotely serious about playing Minecraft. Unbreaking is an enchantment that extends the lifespan of equipment by providing a chance to not take durability when used, with the chance increasing with each level. Unbreaking can help save resources early game and help with large projects late game. Not much else to say, longer lasting tools are always welcome. Well everyone, we did it. We have reached the #1 spot on the list. Up until this very point, I had some text that said the enchantment and where it ranked, but I figured I'd do something a little bit different for the top spot. Some of you may have already guessed what #1 is, some of you may not have, but here we go. #1, the best enchantment in Minecraft, ranking above all of the others, is the iconic, the legendary, the great Bane of Arthropods. Just kidding! Fuck you, Logan. Okay, but for real though. #1, easily the best enchantment in Minecraft, is... It's Mending. To the shock of absolutely no one, Mending is the best enchantment in Minecraft. Mending uses XP to repair the equipment that it's on. This essentially allows them to last forever, so long as you keep repairing them. XP farms are also pretty easy to make, so repairing tools really isn't that tedious. Villager librarians also have the chance of giving you Mending, which makes it pretty accessible. With all that being said, Mending is easily the best enchantment in Minecraft, and absolutely everybody should use it if they can. Hey guys, Stuffy Plays / Gunner here. Thank you all for watching that video. This has been months in the making. I actually had a lot of fun putting this video together. I haven't done a project like this in a very long time. That's all 43 enchantments ranked in Minecraft. If you guys want more of these, just let me know. I'll start making them. I already have a few other ideas I could do, but I don't want to spoil them. Thank you all for watching, and have a great one.
Say hi!